We're starting off with a story that's been making waves in the financial markets. The Indian stock market has been range-bound, and investors are keeping a close eye on several key factors that could influence the market's movement in the coming week. One of the main concerns is the rising crude oil prices, which have jumped over $1 per barrel following tanker attacks and a lack of progress on a peace agreement between the US and Iran. The Middle East tensions are also escalating, with Iran accusing the UAE of attacking one of its vessels in the Strait of Hormuz, and Israel conducting airstrikes in southern Lebanon. These developments have the potential to further spook investors and impact the stock market. In addition to these geopolitical factors, investors will also be closely watching the minutes from the recent Federal Reserve meeting, which could provide clues on whether interest rates will rise next month. The surprise drop in U.S. retail sales has already dented expectations for a Fed rate hike, so this will be an important indicator to watch. Foreign investors have remained net buyers of Indian equities, with a total net purchase of rupees 1,228.24 crore last week. However, the market is still drifting lower, and investors will need to keep a close eye on these key factors to make informed decisions about their investments. We'll be discussing these topics in more detail throughout the show and exploring what they mean for your portfolio. Our goal is to provide you with a balanced view of the market, without any bias or agenda. We want to help you navigate the complex world of finance and make smart investment choices. We'll be right back with more from the world of stocks and finance on the Riskwiser Zone. Welcome back to the Riskwiser Zone. We're continuing our exploration of the latest developments in the world of finance and risk management. Our previous segment took a deep dive into the current market trends, and now we're shifting our focus to the fascinating story of Greg Abel, the successor to Warren Buffett at Berkshire Hathaway. As we've been following, Greg Abel has been making waves with his strategic decisions, including a significant overhaul of Berkshire's investment portfolio. In his second quarter at the helm, Abel continued to reshape the portfolio, which is now valued at $358 billion. One notable move was reducing the stake in Bank of America, while simultaneously increasing investments in other areas. What's particularly interesting is that Abel has been piling into a virtual monopoly that has now become Berkshire's third-largest holding. This move has sparked curiosity among investors and analysts alike as they try to understand the reasoning behind this decision. While some might view this as a bold move, others see it as a strategic play to solidify Berkshire's position in the market. It's essential to consider the implications of these moves, not just for Berkshire Hathaway, but also for the broader financial landscape. As we analyze these developments, we must remain fair and balanced, avoiding any bias and focusing on the facts. The question on everyone's mind is, what's next for Berkshire under Greg Abel's leadership? As we navigate this complex and ever-changing world of finance, it's crucial to stay informed and adapt to new information. We'll continue to monitor these developments and provide you with in-depth analysis and insights. Welcome back to the Riskwiser Zone, folks. As we wrap up today's show, I'd like to dive into a story that's been making waves in the financial world. You may have heard that Reddit, the social news and discussion website, is joining the S&P 500 index. But what does this mean for investors, and is RDDT stock worth adding to your portfolio? Well, let's take a closer look. On Friday, Reddit's share price jumped by 12.63% after the announcement, closing at $178.09 per share. This move is likely due to the fact that funds tracking the S&P 500 will need to rebalance their portfolios to include RDDT, which could lead to increased demand and a subsequent boost in stock price. But, as we always say on this show, it's essential to separate the hype from the fundamentals. Reddit's strong Q2 earnings performance, with revenues marking its 8th consecutive quarter of growth, is certainly impressive. Net profits more than doubled to $253 million, while revenues increased by 61% to $805 million. However, It's also important to note that hedge fund sentiment has weakened, with the number of hedge funds owning the stock decreasing from 82 to 70 in the first quarter of this year. Additionally, conviction fell sharply by 46% to $2.86 billion, indicating that professional investors may be cautious about Reddit's long-term growth prospects. Now, I'm not here to make a buy or sell recommendation, but rather to provide you with a balanced view of the situation. Wall Street analysts currently have a moderate buy rating on RDDT stock, with a mean price target of around $213, indicating potential upside of over 20%. But, as we've seen time and time again, past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. So, what is next for Reddit? Will its inclusion in the S&P 500 index be enough to gain hedge fund backing and propel the stock to new heights? Only time will tell. As always, it's crucial to do your own research, consider multiple perspectives, and invest with caution. That's all for today's Riskwiser Zone. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, keep your finances in check.